The story starts from Spain, where a young businessman named Adrian Doria is rising up as a tech entrepreneur, having built a massive empire through years of hard work. On the surface, he had everything: wealth, reputation, and a loving family. But beneath that perfect life, he had a secret affair with Lara Vidal. Lara was a smart and ambitious photographer, and like Adrian, she was married too. Anyway, they ended their affair months ago, but later, Adrian received a call from someone threatening to expose their affair if they didn't bring 100,000 euros to a rural hotel. They went to the hotel, and there, Adrian was attacked from behind and knocked out. When he woke up, Lara was dead in the bathroom. The police found him as the only person in the locked room with Lara, making him the prime suspect. After being accused of murdering his lover, Adrian is out on bail. To help with his defense, Adrian's lawyer hires a well-known defense attorney, Virginia Goodman. Virginia visits Adrian at his apartment and tells him some urgent news. The prosecutor has found a new witness who will testify soon. They only have 3 hours to come up with a solid defense, so Virginia asks Adrian to tell her everything, no lies or half-truths. Adrian begins to tell the events and went into flashback when everything had started. Pretending to be on a business trip in Paris, Adrian was spending time with Lara in a private cabin in the countryside. When it was time to leave, they prepared to go back to their lives in Barcelona. On their way back, suddenly a deer showed up in front of his car, and to avoid it, he quickly turned the wheel. In the process, he accidentally hit another car, which crashed into a tree. The driver of that car, a young man, was dead. By the time another car approached, Lara quickly pushed the dead driver's body across the seat, and acted as if she was the owner of that car and got into the accident. She and Adrian pretended they were exchanging insurance information. The other car driver got convinced by their act, thought it as a simple accident, and left the scene. They were actually afraid that if they called the police, in the light of investigation, their affair would be exposed, ruining their careers and families. So they had to get rid of the body and evidence. Adrian put the driver's body in the car's trunk and drove out for dump it somewhere. In the meantime, Lara stayed behind to wait for a tow truck for Adrian's car, which wasn't starting. Another car appeared in scene then. This time, the driver was an automotive engineer named Tomas Garrido. He offered her to help by towing the car in his home and fix it. She agreed and went with him. After reaching their home, Tomas introduced her with his wife, Elvira. While he was fixing the car, Elvira was chatting with Lara, asking about her family and telling her about their only son, Daniel. She even showed Lara a picture of Daniel, which left her in massive shock. Because Daniel was the dead driver from the accident. Lara realized that she was with the parents of the young man, whose dead body is currently disposing of, by her lover Adrian. Then Tomas entered and announced that the car was fixed. When she was leaving from there, she adjusted the car's driving seat as if someone else was driving the car before. Because of this, Tomas grew a bit suspicious but didn't think much of it, as his wife Elvira started to worry about their son not answering her calls. Meanwhile, Adrian was driving Daniel's car with his body in the trunk, and found a lake in the forest. He pushed the car into the lake and waited for it to sink completely, taking the dead body down with it. Then he called Lara, told his location. She came and picked him up. She told him everything about meeting Daniel's parents. To avoid further risk, Adrian later sold his car to a scrapyard, where no trace of it could be found, and reported it as stolen, hoping to put the entire incident behind them. On the other side, Daniel's missing report was in TV, everyone searching for him in the forest, and the police found out the location of the accident, where some broken parts of car was found. Daniel's father Tomas remembered that area, because that's where he picked up Lara. He even remembered the plate number of the car, and reported it to police. Soon after, Adrian was called in by the cops. Adrian's lawyer arranged for a fake alibi, claiming Adrian was in Paris, and bribed the police to remove Adrian's name from the report. Adrian's public profile continued to rise, and he was named European Businessman of the Year. But at the award ceremony, Tomas appeared, pretending to be a journalist, and begged Adrian to tell him where Daniel's body was so he could bury his son. Security removed Tomas from the event, and Adrian ignored him as if he doesn't know anything. But shortly afterward, Adrian received a photo of a lake and a demand to bring Lara to the rural hotel with 100,000 euros. Adrian suspected that the blackmailer might be the other driver they had encountered that night, who could have followed him as he disposed of Daniel's car. And then they went to the hotel where Adrian got attacked and Lara got killed. Back in the present, after Adrian's statement, Virginia suggests an idea to help him avoid blame. She proposes they plant something of Lara's in Daniel's car to make it look like she acted alone. At this point, Adrian admits another truth, that Daniel wasn't dead when he pushed the car into the lake. He had only been unconscious and got awake at the last moment, but he didn't change the decision of covering up the accident and pushed the car into the lake with Daniel in the trunk, knowing that he would die. Practically, it was not an accident then, it was a murder. An autopsy would reveal that Daniel actually died from drowning, not from the accident. After hearing this, Virginia gets clearly disturbed but stays focused. She tells Adrian that Lara's medical records are showing of her dealing with anxiety, likely because of her guilt. Virginia indicates that Adrian might be twisting the truth to make Lara seem like the mastermind, but the actual planner behind Daniel's incident and covering up everything may be Adrian himself, not Lara. She even floats the idea that Tomas could have set a trap for him, because somehow he understood everything and planned to take revenge, especially since Elvira, Daniel's mother, works at the rural hotel where Lara's body was found. This could explain how the hotel room was locked from the inside, as Elvira could have given access for Tomas to enter the room, attack Adrian, and kill Lara, then escaping through the window, which might get locked again by Elvira to make it seem like no one else was there. But how could Tomas know everything? Virginia suggests that maybe Lara revealed the whole truth to them out of her guilt. Now she suspects Adrian of killing Lara as she realizes what Adrian is capable of. So she urged him to confess the whole truth if he was the one who killed Lara. As she continues questioning him, Adrian finally breaks down and admits to killing Lara and setting up the crime scene. Just then, Adrian's lawyer Felix calls and leaves a voicemail, urgently asking Adrian to call him back since he couldn't reach him on his cell phone. Virginia suggests that Adrian take a quick 10-minute break and return the call. She leaves the apartment, appearing to be in a hurry. While she's gone, Adrian calls Felix back. Felix confirms that the witness against him is the other driver from the accident, but assures him that they've paid off the witness to stay silent. Felix then asks Adrian about the meeting with Virginia, and as they talk, Adrian notices strange high-pitched tones interfering with the call. Then, the pen in his pocket exploded with ink, and Adrian wondered where the pen had come from. He remembered that it was actually Virginia's pen and somehow he realized it might not just be a pen. He sensed something was off and began to open it up. Turns out, the pen had a recording device inside and it was capturing every word exchanged during their crucial dialogue. Adrian looks across the street and sees Tomas standing next to Virginia, who reveals herself to be Elvira Garrido in disguise. Elvira had been an actress in theater back in the day, which is why she could put on an attorney's facade and act with strength, showing no emotional remorse. With her help, Tomas has recorded Adrian's confession. He calls the police and reported the whole thing, and in that very moment, the real Virginia Goodman arrives at Adrian's apartment. Adrian felt shock waves of panic coursing through him. He had thought he was in control, that he could manipulate the narrative to his advantage. But now, the tables have turned, and the evidence is not in his favor. Truth has prevailed at last, and now Adrian will face the consequences of his action. Could things have turned out differently if Adrian and Lara had been honest from the start? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe the channel.